This video is for that person who wants to make a comic book but is struggling with the ideation process. If you are someone who wants to be a creative, whether that be a writer, whether that be an artist, and you actually want to make a comic book, you actually want to make sequential art, you want to make manga, one of the ways to go about it, and you are struggling with starting, you're struggling with actually beginning the process, you have so many fears, there's so many unknowns, and you don't know how to go about it, you're feeling a bit anxious about it, this video is here to encourage you. Because one of the ways to easily start, because there's just a lot that goes into making comics, there's so much highs and lows, there's so much turns, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. But if you're having trouble starting, one thing you could do is that you could copy, you could do remakes, right? Let's say you have a favorite movie, a very niche movie that very few people like, that few people know about. Well, it's a movie, so definitely people will know about it, but it's something that is dear to your heart, right? What you could do is that you could convert that movie into like a comic. You could make a comic version of that movie, or you could do remakes, right? If there's like a favorite comic and that you've read, you appreciate the comic book story, or like the manga, or like the medium or the media, whether that be a book even, right? And you feel like that book could have been better, that book could have ended better. What you could do is that you could rewrite that story, of course giving credit to the original author, right? What this does is that it starts a creative process, but what it gives you is that it gives you a foundation, right? It gives you a solid foundation on what to start and how to start, right? It gives you an established story. So basically what you just have to do is that you have to convert it into sequential art, and that is a lot of work in itself, right? That is a lot of work, but what it has done is that the story process has been cut off. A lot of manga artists has done this, even though they've created their own manga, but like someone like Boichi, for instance, he did like his own version of like One Piece. Well, it was a remake where he like created a fight scene between some of the One Piece characters. I've not like particularly read it, but I've seen the book. So you can just copy what an already established media. Maybe for instance you don't like the way Harry Potter ended, or you don't like the way the story of Harry Potter like came about, right? You feel like it could have been done a bit better. You could write something like a fanfic, right, and just recreate that particular story using a comic book. Or it goes the same for books, it goes the same for movies, and you can apply this to every genre, right? Whether that be a thriller, a detective story, whether that be sci-fi, you want to write about a space opera, you want to make a comic about even a sports storyline, maybe a prominent figure in any particular industry, whether that be politics, whether that be sports, whether that be in any other creative aspect, right? You could write historical drama, like a book like Vinland Saga, for instance, right? It's drawn from real life stories, but then there were little tweaks were done here and there to the story to actually fit what the author wants to create. These are ways that you can just begin the creative process so that you don't have to think too much, because creating something original, I won't say it's impossible, but it's quite difficult in this current day and age. So what you can do is that just get inspiration from different stories, right? There's a ton of stories out there. You shouldn't hold yourself back trying to think of a lot. Like for me, like the comic I'm currently working on, what I did, the inspiration for it was simply, I just read a lot of Batman comics, right? And I've read a lot of Wolverine comics, and I like Wolverine, and I just fused those stories together and I created something that is, well, I don't want to say completely original, but something that is that has just a touch of uniqueness to it, right? And I added like my own surrounding, where I live. I'm Nigerian, so I added the things around my country, right? My own personal experiences, my own personal childhood. Like I fused some of that into the story. There's no single person in the world like you. There are aspects of your life that can act as catalyst, and you can use it to fuse into your creative process and create something unique, create something magnificent, create a whole new story, right? By just taking one element that already exists, taking another element that already exists, fusing them together, putting your own experiences into that creative process to make it better, and you would come out with something unique. The thing about this is that once you've taken a media, like two different stories, right, and you fuse them together. For instance, now you could take Street Fighter, for instance, and fuse it with Ben 10. You mean there are aspects of Street Fighter that you like and fuse it with Ben 10. Like you could take the Brandon Sanderson Mistborn book and fuse it with Star Wars. You could take something like Green Lantern and then you fuse it with something from Cartoon Network, whatever it is, right? Just fuse different genre together and you will be able to create something new. And if you can't do that, just recreate something. The process of recreation is what is going to spark ideas, right? A lot of people have copied Superman stories, a lot of people have copied Batman stories, but they've infused something extra that makes it just a little bit unique. Homelander, for instance, from the Boys universe, there's just something else that they just added. Maybe they just wanted to tell a story differently, or they have a different approach towards telling that kind of story. So that is something I believe that anybody can do. It's difficult, it takes time, but eventually you'll be able to create your own stories if you just do like this exercise. What I did for myself is that I didn't like copy an already established story, like redo, like make a comic version of an already established story. What I just did was that I like Batman, I like Wolverine, I liked aspects of their story, I liked their aesthetics, and I fused them together to create my own character, right? And that's the story I'm telling. And once you have that key concept, right? Once you have that concept, you're going to see a lot of stories is going to flow, right? You could be looking at a different you could be reading a story, listening to something, and because you are 100% focused on that, you will be getting more ideas and more inspiration for more issues and more manga chapters and things like that. And the whole process is going to be fun and enjoyable. Hopefully this video helped. I just wanted to like quickly talk about that. I just had an idea and I wanted to share it. I know it's not very structured, it's a bit of a ramble that I'm doing here, but I hope that this sparks something for you to start. It's not easy. Making comic is not easy. I struggle with procrastination a lot. I struggle with like adjusting my time schedule. I'm someone that's still learning the whole process, but I just want to share what helped me start something, like start a story. Like no matter what I've done in my life, I am really proud of the fact that I started a story, and that's not going to be the last story I do. That's one thing, the mistake most people make. They think that if I start this story and make mistakes, like that's the end of it. No, like if you start a story and you actually complete it, like you finish the story, that's not going to be the last story that you write. You're going to create another one, and then another one, and then another one, and the more you create, the more you're developing experiences. And this experience, the experience you got from finishing a particular comic book, you take that experience to the next comic book and make it better. You take it to the next comic book and make it better. And with each issue or with each new comic you start, you're going to get experiences, and you're going to make them a whole lot better. It's a skill, it's a craft. The more you do, the better you get, right? You learn from your failures, you learn from the experiences, and that's just like what creativity and growth is all about. Focus on progress, not perfection, right? That's something I always try to keep in mind whenever I'm doing any creative process. Sometimes it's trying to live by. Some days I could fumble, but just try to focus on making progress on your story. Yeah, that's just it. I just wanted to rant about it. Hopefully it helps someone, and I'll see you in the next video.